What is going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. I did make a video on this earlier today. We are a little bit higher in price, but we've had a phenomenal drop all the way down to $243. I did say yesterday, at about this time yesterday on this candle, I said today would be the day that we would finally make our move down to, we'd probably see a move that was bigger than the rest of this stuff, and we'd make our move down to about 200 to 200 and, or I said 200 and 190, and we actually didn't break through 200, but we went to 243, so close is close enough. And we might even still, that stands true. This is the day that we start that move, and I would say that we have started that move. This is the day that we break out of this little range here that we've been in, right? And that's the main point, and I think that we have started that. So I am tooting my own horn here. I haven't really tooted my horn throughout most of this, not yet, but I think we're finally showing our bearish colors. We are getting that move into the oversold zone like I've been calling for, and with that we have seen a move that is 9.05%, which is bigger than any move that we've seen throughout this entire range so far. So that just falls hand in hand with everything I've been saying for well over a month now, actually. So yes, little shout out to myself. I haven't been tooting my horn at all. I've been cautiously optimistic that I've been right. But I think this one is deserving of a little bit of a clap, so I'm gonna give it there. But anyways, moving on from that, enough blowing smoke up my own ass. Looking at this thing, man. We've got a little bit of decreasing volume here, sure, but it's nice spikes in volume as we're coming down, sure. Let's see on the 1 hour. Yeah, not any bullish divergence. We are coming up. It wouldn't surprise me if this thing went up to the 50. Maybe, let's see even actually what we've done before. We kind of are experiencing a different move though, so I don't know. Here we came up to around the 50 and rejected it, right? Let's see, what did we do there? Yeah, and then we continue to bleed lower. We might see something like that where we kind of run flat. I don't know. I personally would expect that we have a more dramatic move down. I don't think that it's going to be flat like this. I do think that this is not the end of this move to the downside. We did, if we look on the daily here, we did bounce right off of the 382. We actually did, let's see, day low there to high, and we tipped. We literally couldn't have done it more perfectly, right? I guess if we were $1 higher, because technically we went to 243, this is at 201.44, so if we were $1 higher, it would have been that much more perfect, but we literally tipped the 382, and now we're coming up. It is only one day after. In fact, we're not even 4 hours into this new day. We're not even actually like 3.5 hours into this new day, so we could go lower. And in fact, the fact that we are up already this high, I don't know. We could have a green day. We really could have a green day. We could come back up and we could test this area back over here, right around 217. We might come up to like 222 even. That's totally possible. Kind of maintain this overall range that we're in. It looks like we've kind of broken it, but really, I was looking at it a second ago, and I'm going to delete this real quick. We're kind of in a channel of sorts, right? Like I think we're in a channel. If we go maybe this here to something like that, yeah. You can't really see it, but you've got this low here, this low here. I'm gonna try to flatten this out for us so that we can see it a little bit better, maybe. But I think we're kind of in this channel still. It fits, so we don't have to. If we move lower, we don't have to move dramatically lower. Maybe we move to 195, which is right at this low daily close over here, which would make sense to me. Maybe we move up from here. That's totally possible as well. You can see that there's definitely respect within this channel. You can see here, right, we bounced off of this green line here. We found resistance on the heart line, the center line there. Found support on the upper green line there, the upper quadrant line. It's a little bit respected, more so on the heart line than anything else, but not so much. I guess we got a little bounce here on the green line too, but we could very well be in this channel. Could we break out of it to the downside? I know it's a downward sloping channel, but a lot of people see this kind of stuff and they think, oh, we went up, we're consolidating down, that means we have to break up. No, we could break down. We absolutely could break down, and in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we broke down. I wouldn't be surprised if we stayed in this channel until we got to the areas that I'm projecting, which is all the way down at about 135 to 145. I have my biggest buy order down here at 145, so that would actually put us all the way in October if we were to finally hit that. But I don't know if we're going to be that tame for that long. So personally, I would expect that we do break out of this channel to the downside. If we stay in this channel and we break out to the upside, we likely will not hit those price targets, and maybe we do bounce somewhere around this purple line, before the end of the month or something like that. That's possible. But looking at this daily, guys, we did just get into the oversold zone. I don't think that we're going to, I do not think that this is the low. I do think that we get some continuation. Let's look back actually on a daily perspective and see what Bitcoin Cash has done anytime it's gotten into its oversold zone. So the last time, for example, maybe technically here, it bounced off the oversold zone. I don't know if that's a good example. But this one actually got into it right here. So if I can zoom this in a little bit, you can see here on this day, this was the bottom of it. The day before, we did not get into it, so this day was the first day that we got into it, and the very next day we were in it as well, but we did not. We did go lower just a little bit. We didn't do that today, but whatever. But we only went lower a little bit. Really what we did was we bounced out of this as soon as we got oversold. So could we see something like that? It's possible, sure. Back here, I would count that as a bounce out of the oversold zone. Not like we didn't go into it. Yes, we did technically, but I don't know if I'd count that. Same thing over here. Over here, whenever you got into the oversold zone, it was this day right here, right up here, right? We can see that here. I'll put a line on it just to double check. This right here, that was the day that we got into the oversold zone, and that was this day here. So if you started buying right here, which by the way, let's just take a further look at this, right? If you bought right there, you can see that on a closing basis, you're kind of doing a double bottom look, and you just got into the oversold zone. If you bought there, you would have made a huge mistake, and you would have, from the closing point, you would have endured a loss at a most of 31%. Actually, even continued from there. So buying as soon as you get into the oversold zone right there was a bad idea. Let's see if we can find any other examples that are like that. Back here, you first get into the oversold zone on this day right here. If you bought, you might have felt like a genius on this nice little 7% pump. It was a 6% pump on a closing basis, but maybe it was like an 8% pump overall. But then the following 2 days, you actually dropped lower, and then preceding that even, you dropped further lower. So that's two back-to-back examples where this is, not a good idea. Here, same thing. You bought in the oversold zone. If you bought this day, you might have felt like a genius for 2 days, but then ultimately went lower. Here, as soon as we got into the oversold zone, it was this day here, I would think. Let's see. This will be another one we have to draw a line on. Yeah, that day right there, right here. And then, if you bought there, 2 days later, 4 days later even, we went to our bottom and proceeded to go higher from there. So that's 3 back-to-back examples, right? We go back here. Here, you were oversold, and, you did come up, but you really just moved sideways. Ultimately, it wouldn't have been a good day to buy on this as soon as you got oversold. But there was hope, but you rejected the 50, and that should have negated your hope right there. Like this over here should have been a clear signal that maybe we do go lower. That, along with the fact that you had lower highs and lower lows. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. Right here, got into the oversold zone. You even bottomed on your RSI right here, right? This was your low. And what did you do? You actually went lower. You formed bullish divergence, and then you went higher, as is common, very common. So far, that's like 5 times in a row where if you bought as soon as you got, even here, you buy here, next day you did go lower. Not that much, but you did go lower. And technically, from this move over here, where you hadn't been in the oversold zone for quite some time, you can see it, right? You bounced off it, you had not been in the oversold zone for quite some time. So your very first time being in the oversold zone back here, right here, if you bought as soon as you got into the oversold zone, you would have missed out an opportunity where you could have gone lower. You actually even had another double bottom opportunity where you presented, I guess you didn't present bullish divergence, but I don't know, it bottomed out nonetheless. And anyways, what I'm trying to get at, guys, if it's not clear, it's that I don't believe that right now is the time to buy. I don't care if today goes up 10% from here. I don't think it's the right time to buy. Maybe if you want to day trade, you want to make some quick moves, but we can look at the 4 hour and the 1 hour and kind of make our decision from there too. But looking at this, man, we are firmly entrenched in this downtrend on the RSI until we at least break these lower highs. Until we at least break out of that, I am still bearish, and we could break out of that and still promote bearish price action. What I'm looking for personally is some kind of bullish divergence where we have a low here, we have a higher low, and then on the price we have a low and a lower low, and then that will mark the bottom. Do I think we're going to get that now, like within the coming week? Maybe. 2 weeks? Maybe. A month? Maybe. Who knows? It could happen at any point in time, but we're going to be watching this thing like a hawk every single day, like a hawk, like a falcon, man. Actually, like a falcon, because those guys got way... I don't know. What has better eyesight, a hawk or a falcon? I don't know. Any birders out there, please tell me. But yeah, man, let's look at this thing on a 4-hour and stop pitter-pattering around here. Yeah, the 4-hour looks weak. You are firmly in the oversold zone itself. You went very deep into it, man. You haven't been this deep in a while. Yeah, showing, right? Like, let's see. Yeah, last time, man, this is the lowest you've been in this throughout this whole range. Seeing the biggest drop that you've seen, showing the strongest move to the downside, along with being oversold. It's the strongest move that you've seen throughout this whole downtrend. I don't think that this is the end of it by any means. I definitely don't. I do think you go lower. Maybe in the meantime you come up, again, around like 217, 220, maybe even go up to like 230. That's even possible too. But, you know, I would more expect probably around between 215 and 225 if you were to make a move up, but you don't. That's not guaranteed. We just as likely could continue to bleed down or just move sideways and then eventually break down, as we've done previously throughout this range anytime that we have a significant move to the downside. And this would be the most significant move so far, but not a whole lot of volume. Not a whole lot of volume, which is okay. It's not a detriment at all to the move, but it would have been nicer to see some more volume. But at the same time, you know, in an overall prevailing uptrend, it's not as necessary, I would say. But I do think, regardless of the price, I think the RSI has a chance of coming up to this oversold line right here, the barrier, and rejecting it, coming down either lower or forming some kind of bullish divergence, or we could even get back up into the band itself and reject off of the 50 area and then go from there. So it just depends. You know, we'll see. Pay attention to how it interacts. If we break above this line, if we can close above this line, likely we will continue to move higher. You probably will see a move that goes up to around like 220, 225, something like that. If not, maybe we only get a move that takes us around like 217, maybe like 210 to 220, something like. Well, we're already at 210, so maybe like 220. But maybe 215 even. But let's see, on the 1 hour, if we've got more, man, very, very deep move into the oversold zone. You went below the 10, man. That is crazy. Yeah, we haven't done that since back here, which, let's see, that was way down here. That was actually at the bottom. That was the very low. So could this be the low? I don't think so. I don't think so, but I mean, it could be. It's possible. You know, last time we were this low, that was the low right there. But before that, even, you know, you kind of had a move here that was your low. You came up and then you went lower. You know, maybe we have something like that where this is our low, we move up a little bit, and then we proceed to go lower. I don't know. But right now, looking at the 1 hour, it is weak. I would expect continuation to the downside. Yeah, man, hard to say where we go from here. We could go all the way back up to the overbought zone and reject it. We could reject the 50 area. We could reject right here even. I don't know. Hard to say. Something to watch, I guess. 15-minute time frame. You did have bullish divergence to mark this bottom. Here, this is the one that actually kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? You got a low here, a higher low here. You have a low here and a lower low there. It would make sense that we went up to about 215. 215 would be fine. And I got 1 second here, guys. I gotta do something. My shitty neighbors are doing things. So there we go. All right. Sorry about that. My fiance texted me, and I didn't want her to worry that anything was wrong, because there's some thumping upstairs, and some people do not fight like normal human beings. They fight at night when everybody's trying to relax and sleep. Whenever I fight, I like to do it in the daytime when everybody's at work and they can't hear me. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, like what's wrong with you people? Anyways, enough of that stuff, guys. Let's see here. We do have hidden bullish or bearish divergence. You know, playing off of this bullish divergence, sure, we could, and then actually even, guys. Wow, let's see. Okay, no. All right. So I mean, you really could come back up to this low here, around like 213, 215. I actually am starting to believe that's more likely. Reject from there and go lower. You are very high in the RSI here. The last time you saw a high was back here where you were here. So lower highs, higher highs, that's hidden bearish divergence. And you see that generally as a mark of continuation in a downtrend, which if we were to continue in a downtrend, that would mean we go lower, probably lower than this low here. So I really don't think that this move is over. And that's really all I gotta say. Let's see here. Let's measure this fib on a fib scale here, and let's just see real quick. From this high to this low, yeah, man, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? We just bounced off the 382, the major 382, or a more relative macro. I'll show you what I mean. from low here to high here, we bounced off of this 382. You can see it 382 at 201.44. We went to 244. So we bounced right off of that, right? For the moment. We could, ultimately it could look like we just break straight through it, but for the moment we are bouncing off of it. If we take this one away so it's less confusing for anybody, looking at this from top to bottom, the 382 for here is actually right here at the base of this range that I was just talking about us going to. So we could come up, reject that area, and then proceed to go lower than this. And I kind of would expect that. So that's my overall call for the more immediate term. You guys know where I stand as far as like the intermediate term goes, and like the short term overall, but like probably within like the next in the coming weeks, if not the coming months. Hopefully not coming months, hopefully it is within the coming weeks, that we see a move down to around anywhere from like 185 to 135. And I very much would more so expect that we see a move down between the orange line here and the white line, somewhere in that pocket between about like 150 and 135. The reason for that, besides the fib levels being there, is it's also an area where we have found previous resistance, right? At this level, that's at about 138 there. And then, if we were to take this high here, that's at like 154. So somewhere around there would make sense to me just on a price scale alone. Overall, that would be a higher low for Bitcoin Cash, right? And that would just mark what we are in, which is definitely an uptrend. I think that we're just in the beginning of this thing, man. I think Bitcoin Cash has phenomenal things in store for it. We're just going down. Anytime Bitcoin Cash has made a big candle like this, it has gone down. That's just what happens. So if you guys have, I don't know, if you guys like the video, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.